as an instrumentalist, if you look at Mahalia Jackson's singing, um, a lot of the same characteristics that she uses, bent tones, vibrato, melisma, um, the way she phrases, a lot of those things evolved, of course, from the work song tradition and spiritual tradition of the slaves. And those are the characteristics that all the early jazz musicians put into their horns. Louis Armstrong, King Oliver, Sidney Bechet, they used those vibratos and bent tones and all those things. So, you know, when I hear that music, that's someone that, as an instrumentalist, was very influential on horn players, and she's one of the people that I listen to for inspiration. And I feel that there's not a distinction between jazz and blues and gospel music, not in the sense of, you know, church and secular, but that you can get a spirit and a feeling that's very important. I think it's all a gift from God. And so, I mean, whenever I play, I'm thinking about spirit. Yes.
That's called soul. Soul is not a genre, it is a feeling. Anyone who's doing something they love, it is soul. Soulful, soul, it's not a genre. And I every time I get an interview, they always want to give soul a genre. Soul is what you love doing and what you get spiritual enhancement from. So one of these days they'll get it.
The type that Mahalia did, the type that we're talking about that we grew up on was traditional gospel music. That gospel music that you just stood flat-footed and you sang. You didn't have the electronics like we have now. You had to have the electronics here. You had to have the electronics here in the heart. And the hands and the feet and the movement is what kept the rhythm.
Gonna lay down my burdens down by and study war no more. Oh, I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
For me, Mahalia's singing was so rich, so deep, and it allowed, I could, just as a child, I noticed how going to church was so important because it didn't matter what your condition, your sorrow, whatever problem or situation you were in. When you went to church, you expected to receive something. And that was a feeling up and an upliftment. If you didn't get it through the word, you got it through the song, through the singing. You expected that. You went there expecting it, running there. Mahalia's singing allowed me to not be ashamed of. See, there are a lot of cultures, and even sometimes I hear people say your emotions are to be kept in. But her singing allowed, and even on Sunday, I could see people with tears singing, express it. It was there. If they couldn't express themselves any other kind of way, maybe they were illiterate, maybe they couldn't read or write, but they could express themselves through their music, through that gospel singing. They were able to pour out their emotions and their feelings and feel free to not to be condemned there in church. So I could hear that in her voice.
Well, obviously, being a Southern-raised girl, you went to church when you didn't go anywhere else. And I can't remember when I didn't enjoy singing gospel music. When I lived with my grandmother as a small child in Greensburg, Louisiana, I don't know how many miles we lived from the church, but every Sunday we walked to church, and every Sunday a young child in the church was given something to either sing or say. So I can't remember when I couldn't sing. And at the time when I was singing, I didn't know I had anything special because that's what everyone did. So I've been a part of the gospel music scene practically all my life. I love what I do so well when I can't find someone to play for me, because I grew up in a church that didn't have any musical instruments either. But we sung very loudly and enjoyed what we did. We stamped our feet, clapped our hands, and when some of them got happy, they even danced. So it has always been prevalent. A lot of the music you hear today, as he mentioned, jazz music, R&B music, hip-hop music, guess where they got it from? gospel music. Ray Charles got called on the carpet for taking a gospel song, turning it into a blues song. But it has always been around, always. I've learned to pray with God beside me. I found a way. The sun is shining for me each day.
And when the Spirit takes control of me on that organ, those feet get to moving and the fingers get to moving. And I'm sorry. I just say, Pastor, I'm sorry. I just have to do this. And Pastor Harold Rapp, anybody that knows him, he's so filled with the Spirit. He said, have your way, Sister Peterson. I'm late getting to my brother's church, and he's rolling his eyes at me when I'm getting in there, but he understands what happens with me. I mean, this is it. The Spirit just takes control, and I'm getting on that organ. I'm getting sideways, and I'm moving, and oh my God. But this is what happens when the visitation of the Holy Spirit is paying you a visit.
You know, gospel people who sing gospel music, we don't profess to be holier than thou. We're people doing what we love to do. And as she said, we don't think of it as a career. We think of it as something we're supposed to do. This is the time that you put your mindset that when I'm singing is prayer set to music. And if any one of these songs will reach you in any way, then I've done my job. But I always make it known that gospel music is not entertainment, even though it is presented in an entertainment fashion. But it is not entertainment. It's prayer set to music. And like she said, there are people who may not be as learned about reading and what have you in terms of, some of them may not even know how to pray. But there may be that one song that Mahalia or some other gospel person sings that touches them in a special way. And that's the purpose of gospel music.